I wish you guys the best with your Yum Yum podcast.
Yum, yum.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Rachel.
How are you?
Doing spectacular. In fact, I'm feeling a little cheeky.
Oh, are you now?
Yeah, I have a little bit of green in me, so I'm feeling a little bit mischievous.
Oh, but
Ooh.
you're not green when it comes to podcasting. You've been doing this a long time.
Oh, a very
And
long
not
time.
just with me.
No, not just with you, but I have had the experience behind the microphone for many years now, and
Started off in local community radio, you did.
that's right. And you know why? Because I had to get ready. I had to get ready for the Yum Yum moment from Star Trek Discovery. If I went into that episode of Star Trek Discovery without my experience of community radio,
You would have been fine.
and public I could have died. I could have died.
I
could
didn't
have
that
died.
experience and I didn't die.
But you had me there to help you.
But we aren't here to talk about Star Trek Discovery, thankfully. We are here to talk about an episode of Killjoys, which is a series you've seen, but not in some time, and I have never seen.
Yes, the Sci-Fi Channel series Killjoys.
Mhm. And if you are interested in seeing how we react to these episodes, you can see our reactions on YouTube. But the full unedited video is accessible only to our patrons.
We have a Patreon. If you have the means to support the podcast, it would be greatly appreciated. You get our episodes early, you get those reactions in full, and we have a huge amount of bonus material over on there. We reviewed Star Trek Picard a while ago. We've done the X-Men movie franchise. We've done the RoboCop franchise. At the moment, we're having a bit of a fun time going through different adaptations of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. We even had a look at Bride and Prejudice. That's right. There's a Bollywoodish version of that tale. So head on over to our Patreon and get all of those goodies, as well as be a part of the community Discord that we have. Yeah, we have Discord. We chat to people. We share things on there. We have a good old chin wag. We've been talking a bit about this 4th season because a lot of people are deciding I'm going to check out Killjoys because Killjoys is a series worth checking out. And Rachel, we have a very important episode here that we're talking about today.
Yes,
Yeah, very special.
we do. We are talking about the 2nd episode of the 4th season, Johnny Dangerously. And due to the distinct lack of descriptions provided by the physical media,
Tragic.
and the IMDb one's not cutting it for us,
Mm-hmm.
we make our own. So, Ryan, it was your job this week.
It was my job this time round, and Johnny Dangerously obviously evokes the idea that this will be a Johnny-centric story. And so here is my summary of Johnny Dangerously. Set in the 1930s, an honest, good-hearted man is forced to turn to a life of crime to finance his neurotic mother's skyrocketing medical bills. Oh, wait, sorry. Whoops.
I knew
Whoops.
that you were, but I'm not familiar with the film.
Whoops.
So I was
Uh-oh.
just like, wait, what the fuck is he doing?
I've accidentally wrote out the IMDb summary for the film Johnny Dangerously, the, of course, Michael Keaton film, Johnny Dangerously, starring Joe Piscopo, Peter Boyle, Griffin Dunn, and let's not
Shut
forget
up and do the actual thing!
Dom DeLuise.
Ryan!
Wait, Rachel.
Right,
Rachel,
Ryan.
listen, yes. Listen to
Right,
this.
no.
Okay, listen
No,
to
no, no,
this.
no. I need you to promise me. I need you to promise me. If you want me to stay in this room and do this recording,
But I have something very important to add here, Rachel. I have 2 things. Danny DeVito's in the movie Johnny
you told
Dangerously.
me that already!
Not on this episode, last episode. But here's the biggest one. You may not know this name. You may not know this name.
I don't want this!
But I do.
I don't I may leave. You may be doing this
Rachel?
episode on your fucking own.
There's a character
I've got
played by Roy.
No patience
Rachel,
for this.
there's a
Rory Gilmore?
No, she's in Bride and Prejudice. However, Ray Walston plays a character. Now, Ray Walston is very important because guess what he played?
What?
In Star Trek.
Oh my god.
Ray Walston played the beloved
I thought
character.
we were going on about the Patreon too long and we were going to lose listeners.
You're making this longer, Rachel, because Ray Walston played the beloved character of Boothby in Star Trek. The important character of Starfleet Academy, so important that apparently in the far-flung future they name a park after Boothby, even though that goes against what he was about. However, none of that's important to this episode of Killjoys, which is truly about family, and that's what makes it so important. This is an episode in which Zeph must find... Wow, okay, and that is the summary right there. Zeph must Rachel Belch. So... we love to have a good old laugh, as you can tell. As you can tell,
To the actual thing.
Rachel, you're assuming I wrote one out. That was it.
No, you didn't bet on me belching out of frustration.
Oh, so you're saying I'm not Nostradamus then? Okay.
You're not. Give an
This
actual...
episode's about family, Rachel. That's what makes it so powerful. Zeph must find her place as the new leader of Team Awesome Force. Meanwhile, Davin and Dulcea must deal with an unhinged Johnny. There we go.
Well
That is
done.
the summary. Thank you. I did my best. It's not as good as the film Johnny Dangerously, starring Dom DeLuise as the Pope, but this episode is very funny. And we love to look at the humor of Killjoys because it's a very humorous show. And the yum yum moment, I think, Rachel, you can chime in here. It is a very silly moment, but it's supposed to be. That's the thing. The yum yum moment from Star Trek Discovery is supposed to be funny. And it is. It makes us laugh, but maybe not in the way it intends. But since it is a humorous moment, we like to give Killjoys that lens of looking at the yum yum laugh. And when we were doing our reaction, you predicted that Davin would be the one to have the yum yum laugh. And he had so much stuff going on, but did he manage to get that top spot for you?
Yes, he did. And it was very early on in the episode. And I love it, and I wish that I went back and made you pause so that I could write it down fully. But it was something to the effect of the enemy of my enemy is my alien baby mama.
That was he had a lot doing in this episode, a lot of stuff to be done. I really enjoyed the comedic montage of what they got up to when they were stuck in the lift in space.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great, but of course
Wasn't expecting it. Was hoping for it.
came late in the episode too. Now, no. My yum yum laugh, and not only is it a yum yum laugh, I need to check in, okay? I need to check in with the writer of this episode, Michelle Lovretta, the showrunner, the creator of Killjoys. I need to check, is she okay? Are you doing okay, Michelle? Because there's a moment in this episode that is both hilarious and horrifying, which is when Johnny tries to breach the sexual tension, I guess, between him and his own brother, Davin. But, that's right, Michelle, you doing okay? But here's the deranged part that makes it extra great. Davin, he gets over the horrifying idea of incest and just says if they did have sex, which they won't, but if they did, he would fucking destroy Johnny. Like, he would fuck him that bad. And it made me laugh, but my jaw genuinely on the floor, and I was just scribbling in my notes, eyes on Lovretta. We need to keep eyes on her. Whatever she's doing right now, we need to keep eyes on her when she writes something like this. This is sicko shit. And I loved it.
Is this your move? We finally gonna do this? Stop. Okay, no, seriously. What if you had to? I mean, what if it was the only way?
John, I would wreck you.
How many bitches?
How many do you think?
3.
Close. It's 4 bitches. And we even get a bitch sayer in there.
Mm-hmm.
We had Del Shitzer in season 2. So now we get the other end of the play around with her name and a bitch thrown in. And as stated, this episode was, of course, penned by Michelle Lovretta, the series creator, and she, literally last episode, she took a chill pill. She was like, I'm going to chill. I'm going to write a more quiet, reflective, thoughtful, character-driven episode. But she got those withdrawals, Rachel. She says, no, I need my freak pills. I need to go back to writing episodes that are just absolutely nutty, full of everything. And boy, was this episode
Even
a lot.
teasing of incest?
Yes. Oh, Rachel, yes. She has no limits.
Never forget.
Never forget and or forgive. But Rachel, who was our director on hand for this episode?
It was a returning face / is it returning hand?
I guess.
Directors? You know, like that works, right?
I'll take it into your hands.
Samir Rahim,
Samir.
director of Necropolis Now,
Which is important.
because we returned to the Necropolis.
Do you think that's why they hired
I
him?
don't know.
Do you think that guy really shot the shit out of that necropolis? We need him again.
What did you think of his abilities this episode, Ryan?
It was okay. I wasn't blown away by the direction in this episode. It was done just fine. I think some of it was snafu'd in post-production. There's this shot that gets reused time and time again of the exterior of the camp / prison that they're in. And that's not his fault, but at the same time, maybe different pickups would have been nice.
Yeah.
And there was a use of an unnecessary text in an episode to give us a location when we could already determine where we were. It was just very obvious from dialogue, from context. Again, that's not necessarily his fault, but it is a part of the presentation of this episode, so it has to be raised up in there. And I think that kind of just dives into the general thoughts on this one. This episode is the second of the season, and usually that means bad things. We have never had success with the second episode of a season. And you told me in our reaction, you said in your thoughts on things that the episode was going to be bad just because of the track record held previously.
But I was still hopeful that I would be wrong. Like, I was like, well, if I say that it's going to be bad, I'm going to be right and be happy, or be wrong and be happy. But if I went in being like, no, this is going to be it, which is what I did last season, and I incorrectly gave a yum yum, I didn't want to do that again.
So, how do you feel about Johnny Dangerously?
I enjoyed it. I like the way that this is setting up a very different kind of season. Like, we still have the 3 separated off, but now we have a division between the 2 that are together. And it is one that I wasn't expecting, but as soon as it happened, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense that they're using this in this way.
I enjoyed this very much as well. It was very silly. The humor was bananas, but in a way that felt in tune with the series and with the episode itself. We had that episode last season, Heist Baby, in which that episode's humor was very insane as well, but it felt out of place. This one felt in place, even though we have some bits that are over the line per se, but it is in context sensible. Like the bit with Johnny that we're talking about is story relevant. Like he is being a bad character. He is being insidious and creepy and insane, and it is a shock tactic that he's using himself to offset his own brother. So, like, that makes sense. But overall, I had a big smile on my face during this episode. I think they handled the responsibility of picking up from where we left off. Like, they have to address what happened to
on what happened last episode.
No.
It wouldn't make sense with what they did, and it would lessen the last episode if they tried to.
Indeed.
So it's like we got to go back to what's happening with everybody else, and they do that very well.
They do for the most part. There is a sticking point, but overall, it's the success of picking up where the characters are emotionally at and then spinning that out into plots, because that's the biggest strength of this episode. Something to really applaud is each one of the characters has a different emotional point than where they were at last season, but they are at these emotional points now because of where they ended up last season. And they're juicy and rich enough where you could see these things go to be arcs for each one of these characters in the season, whether it's Zeph and Pippin or Davin and Dulcea. Johnny's obviously got a lot of things going on in this episode that we can pick at. Even Fancy Lee, who only gets a little bit here.
Brief moments.
But they're very informative on where he is at and where he could go going forward. So, yeah, this episode's doing a lot, but it's managing to keep those plates spinning.
Yeah. And there are a lot of plates a spinning, but the first one that we touch base on, the first one that gets a little spin, is our heroes have survived. They're
Somehow.
Just walking along a plain in a quarry, just having a miserable fucking time.
Yeah, real big family holiday energy.
Yes.
From them. Dav's the dad, Johnny's the kid, Dulcea's the other kid. Yeah, but she's pregnant. It's very odd. Yeah, this was weird. Like, this scene is fine on its own, but you can't have this be the introduction scene to our characters from where we left them.
It makes it feel cheap. Because we saw them in peril, about to fly under the fucking sun, and now they're just on a planet.
Some random planet. And it's not an in media res story.
No.
It's not like, how did they end up here? We'll cut to it and see how they... No, we're just told off screen, yeah, they crashed, but they somehow survived. It's fine. It's very lazy. For an episode that is surprisingly not, this is very lazy, and this is a great example, sadly, of the downsides of cliffhanger-type endings. Because many times over, with a to be continued, a cliffhanger ending, the actual solution to it can be just skipped over because you want the end result of our characters are fine. But I, in real time, waited for the answer to this, and this was the answer. And I can tell you, when I watched it initially, I was disappointed. And when I watched it for this podcast, I was still disappointed. The story that they go on in this episode is fun, but you can't have this be the payoff to what you gave us at the end of the last season. You can't do this.
No.
But they do, because they just want to get to the story
It's a
point.
shortcut. And like I said, it cheapens the end of last season. And it made me annoyed at this plot. It was starting off at a deficit, and then there are other things about it that make it feel cheap, like reusing that exterior shot, the actors all just being super Canadian.
They're not hiding it now. Yeah.
Even some of like the musical stings in this, I was like, it's fine. But it accumulates.
Yeah, it adds up. It stacks on top of itself. But there's interesting concepts. and good character stuff that manages to help us float to the top of the episode rather than sink down and drown in the weaknesses of production. Because Killjoys obviously has a limited budget. We've talked about this before, but we've always been one to reference the fact that they make do with what they've got. And when they don't, it's still worthy of pointing out because it goes against the grain of what they usually do with their limitations. And this is one where those limitations did start to bubble up in a way, but not too much. We are outside of the quad. They have landed on some random planet. They have no context for where they are and what dangers they're in, but they know that they have to deal with things. Dulcea, she has her little sample of green, and she can't connect to Anila, and she can't connect with any of the Hullen. So even her, with her supernatural abilities, is in the same situation as Johnny and Davin, which is in the unknown.
Yeah. I was intrigued by that choice, but it also makes sense. I was just like, oh, yeah. That would be the natural thing that would be happening because Anila is within the goo, and that goo is from Anila's pool, and Anila wouldn't want Dulcea to be in contact with the lady.
No.
But it also helps set up what else happens.
There's some shenanigans in which they meet a bunch of criminal raider types who try to mug them, and then Dulcea, because they don't expect Dulcea to be a badass, gets the upper hand on them. She does some kung fu shit.
She wasn't gonna intervene until they stole her tin of goo.
Decent massage. Do pedicures too?
Jackpot, boys. She's got jewels.
Oh, that's not for you, little girl. Give it.
Take it.
Johnny's injury that we ridiculed last season, where he got the punctured lung but could run around because of plot reasons. Again, this is an episode where this plot specifically, the way we get to things is very haphazard.
Yeah, it's happening this way because we need it to happen.
Where his lung is now collapsing and they need to take him in for some medical treatment, and wouldn't you know it, we enter into a quarry, of course, but we go to a weird location filled with a bunch of people wearing hats and rags and looking shifty and being unhelpful. And I wonder if there'll be some kind of plot point about these guys not being what they appear.
I wonder, Ryan, and I wonder what it's gonna be. But then they do something mildly interesting with that, because Johnny, at this point has been Hullenified a little bit because he's not fully Hullen yet. But it's like he thinks he's figured out what it is, and he's mostly right,
But not fully.
Yeah, so you get him having a Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes moment, and then the horror, like, it's horrifying organ harvesting reveal.
Yeah, this place isn't what it seems exactly, even to a super intelligent, Hullenized Johnny Jacoby. Because that is the big plot point of this episode, is they turn Johnny Hullen, if only in part because his injuries are that severe and Dulcea has a bit of the green goo, so she's going to use it. And just from like a standpoint alone of like Johnny must suffer each season, they know what they're doing. But this is a interesting, fascinating, intriguing, and just overall awesome idea of Davin having to decide what to do. He has this devil on his shoulder with Dulcea who's telling him, like, this is how it works. It'll be simple. It'll be like this.
It's his best shot.
It's your best. It's your only shot. It's your best shot. Johnny, out of his mind, like he's dying. He can't really make a rightful call on this, but he says, do it. And then when Davin proceeds to do it, that's when Dulce is a lot more like, I don't know, there could be these side effects. We don't know how it could go. This could be dangerous. You should look after it. Like, now she's laying those on once Davin's been made up his mind on it.
And they do address that. I appreciate that. Because she's just like, well, I said what I needed to say.
I am good at manipulating people to my short-term ends and not thinking about the long-term costs.
Yeah, because it's just like, we need Johnny to not die. This is the best shot of him not dying.
Did I think about the horrifying ramifications that would come about from this? Not fully. Not enough to not give this advice.
Yeah. Dulcea being tricky and at biting people in the ass. No, never. I do really like the way that they shoot the scene of him being turned and the set dressing of this, backroom clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a great mix-up to do for one of our central characters. We have known what the Hullen are for several seasons now. We know how dangerous they are. And we know how much Johnny hates them. And there is an added fuckery of Dulcea being the one to save his life.
Because she's this nightmare to him, and now there's a level of like, I owe her, but even then, that's not really the thought of this episode.
It's not even that. It's like, yes, she saved his life, but at such a cost that it doesn't feel it like it's not just a pure blessing. And I think that is a really interesting position to put these characters in. And then it helps me understand their current relationship even more, seeing the flashbacks as well of how the three of them are sort of trauma bonded.
Oh yeah, they've become this weird family unit.
Mm-hmm.
There's that, yeah.
I loved so much when Davin was like, if I have to split you up again, this hike is over.
I liked when Dulcea was explaining to that chick from the organ harvesting place, like, her relationship with these two brothers.
And she's like, it's not family. And then she's like, oh.
You see,
actually,
he is the father, the genetic father of the child within me, and I'm having this baby with my partner, who is the sister mother of their friend, his girlfriend, technically, I guess. I killed this guy's wife. It's just this whole diatribe, and it's very funny.
She said their girlfriend.
Yeah, their girlfriend, and. There's a lot of humor had there, like this awkwardness of like Johnny.
But then it's like that's so much of what we know about the families in the 9 is all of those things.
Oh, it's all weird.
So the fact that Dulcea takes so long to be like, oh wait,
oh, I guess this is. We have a lot of murders and plots and schemes and betrayals. Oh, I guess it is a family. And yeah, there's humor there, but there's also some genuine moments, like Davin genuinely caring about like protecting all of them, and then Dulcea appreciating that for realsies. And I want to their handshake, where it's just very awkward and businesslike. It's like, all right, we've
got to do something. So
we have some sort of relationship now. I don't know what to make of it. It was real big. I'm a lesbian having to shake the hand of this heterosexual guy that I have to deal with, which is very amusing. Amusing indeed. I want to know your thoughts, though. We have had, for seasons now, on end, the acknowledgement, the teasing of, the threatening of, and just the outright saying of, one of the members of Team Awesome Force could be turned Hullen. But we haven't had it. Like, Davin's immune to it. Dutch has always been on the waiting list in a way. But this story is like, no, we're cutting through the bullshit. We're going to inject Johnny with the goo. And we are, as are they, deeply familiar with how the Hullenizing stuff works. What are the drawbacks of it? And even though it's a partial amount, and that is story relevant, it is still a big story thing to do.
Yes. I think it is a very smart move. Because if none of them got infected at all, that would feel silly. That would feel stupid.
A wasted opportunity.
Because then it helps them feel invulnerable. If none of them face this threat. And the show and Lovretta are smart enough to not do that. So they're doing it, but not in a straightforward way because it's very little goo. But then it sets Johnny on a specific journey because now he needs to go find more plasma. He goes out, he can see the stars, he's figured out where he is and where the nearest pool is, and he's off to go get it.
The war within is happening with him.
And it feels very different, but also very similar to the war that he had with himself over Porter's death and believing that he killed Dulcea.
Yeah, and you get this sci-fi-ication of it all. Like, this is the genre stuff. We've injected him with the plasma, and he's acting this way.
Makes it more tangible that he could be cured because he's not fully Hullen yet.
And Dulcea mentions, like, he's going through the stage where the separation of his bonds with others, the purging of his emotional core and the separation and separating his feelings to other people, his empathy. And we only get Hannah John-Kamen really for one bit of this episode, and it is
very brief moment
from Johnny's point of view because he's connected to the green in a way, but he's also thinking of Dutch as much as he's trying to deny that during his time in this episode being taken over. He is thinking of her, he is feeling for her, and she is telling him not to give up and that, you know, he needs to continue on. So we do have us, the audience, gets to see that Johnny is having this strife within himself, this battle within himself, but Dulcea and Davin are having to go on faith alone that that is the case. They don't get these inside things. What they're seeing is Johnny is now super arrogant, super strong, and willing to kill.
What did you do?
You haven't figured it out yet?
That you lost your mind? Yeah, that's pretty clear, John.
What? I only shot the ones with guns, and besides, this was a con job.
A part of why this plot doesn't fully fall apart, because it doesn't have a solid foundation. It doesn't have a solid execution to start with. But what truly sells it is the three performers, but especially Aaron Ashmore.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Ashmore playing evil Johnny and clearly having so much fun with it in a way that feels so Hullen. Sells it.
Oh, yeah.
And if he couldn't deliver on it, if it felt like he was pretending to be dangerous, then this plot would feel like a waste of time.
It ties into the character. It amplifies all of these things that we already see in him. It's not as if he is now
and that's what we've seen with the Hullen.
To an extent, yeah, of course. Like, we see with them that it either makes them completely cut off emotionally or it brings out their psychotic tendencies that we all have within us.
It amplifies aspects of people's personalities.
Yeah, and with Johnny, it's his intelligence and arrogant intelligence. his jokiness, and
Oh, what does he scream?
I can't remember. I'm the smart one!
Yeah.
Because he got told that he wasn't the smart one. It was Davin's actually the secret smart one.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that.
No.
And something that this also raises, even though this is a Holland thing to begin with, but the tendency towards violence. Like Johnny is a character
I
who's
want to shoot him in the head so bad.
Yeah, Johnny's a character who we have seen over the course of these 3 seasons become one in which violence being the solution to the question, to the problem, to the situation they're in, has become more applicable over time.
Mm. And this also creates such a huge wedge between him and Davin, and this forces Davin and Dulcea closer together because now they're united against a common immediate problem, because they were all working together to try and find a way off this planet. They're somewhere outside of the court. They don't know where. They don't know where Lucy is. They don't know what's happening with Dutch. So having a new immediate problem makes a lot of sense in terms of the script. And it's interesting to see how Dulcea and Davin's relationship shifts again, because they've clearly become closer after being trapped in the elevator together, all 3 of them. But Davin feels really unsure of himself in terms of his relationship with Dulcea, even though he keeps on making fun of it in a way, in different ways.
Because what else can you do? Like, it's such a
weird situation to be in, and he really doesn't know how to deal with it. So he's like, I'll make a joke, I guess.
But then what is at the center of it, he takes seriously. She is pregnant with his child, and he wants to be involved. He wants to be protective, and he wants, even though this child is the representation of the death of humanity from what we understand, he still takes it very seriously. He even brings up their own father in this episode and is mocked for it, and even mocked by Johnny in this episode of like, oh, Dulcea is important because of what? The spawn? You know, the magical child? And no, for Davin, it's not about the magicalness of it all. It's just about the tangibility of it. And like, he has a legacy. You know, he has something beyond himself.
Yep. This show has so many interesting connections when it comes to family. Like the scene with Dulcea talking about and realizing that they kind of are family is great, but it does highlight how there's so many different kinds of relationships within this show that are different types of family.
Family is not necessarily one of blood. It can be one that is found, one that is chosen. And this series has always been tapping into that. When you look at the rack, for instance, the characters that are on that side of the narrative, you have all these people that have found a sense of community together, that have found a family. You have Garrett and Pre teamed up with Pippin and Zeph and Torin and Fancy. All of those characters are from very different walks of life, and yet they've come together. And in this story, that is exactly the same thing. Yes, there is this familial connection there with the child, but at the same time, it is something there. And you do have a bit of an interesting dichotomy with the fact that Johnny being this direct relation of Davin is a part of what is the issue here, is because they are brothers. They know how to talk to each other. Davin thinks, I know how to deal with him. He is my brother after all. And Johnny, being now super being Hollandized and being made into a more evil figure, also knows how to manipulate Davin because he is my brother after all, and that matters to him. Like, this family aspect can be shown as a positive, but also it can be weaponized.
And it's so aggravating and heart-wrenching when Johnny succeeds in attacking Davin
Mm-hmm.
because they've made fun of and joked about when Davin attacked Johnny and nearly killed him.
Yes, they have.
So having this reversal of Johnny being stripped of his humanity,
Yeah.
his primary drives
Free will.
being rewritten,
Yeah.
it feels like an extra punishment. And it makes sense on a different level that he takes Davin with him.
Overall, we seem very satisfied with this story, even though it is messy. Because there is a plot here. Like, there is the thing of, like, this base they're at is a camp. They've got a countdown of, like, oh, since we killed these guys, more guys with guns will come in. None of that's very interesting. The way we get there is very clunky, and the characters that we have there are super dull. But somehow it is made watchable and entertaining because of all of these things that we have discussed about, like, all of this nuance of the characters when it comes to the central three that we already know and care about. But I do say as well, wouldn't it be great if the plot that they were also stuck in was a bit more, you know?
Yeah. If it felt tethered in a clearer way. But then it's like, well, if it's outside of the quad, you don't want it too tethered to anything because then it would make the world feel too small, and it makes sense, but it does, like I keep saying, it does feel cheap. It's cheapened in the end. And it's frustrating that feels so cheap when the stuff with Zeph and Pippin and the Necropolis doesn't have that. It feels even more rewarding because of its simplicity.
Their story, yes, they're having to try and track down information we already know. That's a part of it too, is we already know a bunch of the stuff that they are looking into in this episode. We already know what's happened to Dutch. We already know what's happened with Davin and Dulcea and Johnny. We already know that there's spiders on the Necropolis. We understand that. So why is the Zeph and Pippin stuff still all the more, like, rewarding of an experience? And I think a part of it comes down to they're an odd couple.
Open that door, Zeph. That's what you're good at.
So are you coming with me if I do?
Not in your life.
You owe me your
I
life.
gave you a really good pep talk just now.
Pip!
No, you're the worst.
This is like the first time they've ever been given a spotlight in a story like this, like in which this is their story in all caps.
They're stepping up, and it is more interesting than if we just were checking in every so often with Turn and Fancy.
Zeph and Pippin managed to escape the now Hullen-occupied rack. We have Zeph crawling around in the ducks. We have Pippin saying maybe we should stay here and live here forever because he's just that afraid of going outside. And what is outside? What is the new version of the status quo that we find after what has happened at the end of the finale? It is the Hullen have been put in standby mode, I guess you would describe it. They're not shut down, but they are just staying still. They do have, like, reflexes, like defensive reflexes, but they are now these creepy, just still people standing around, and it's very weird, you know? Like, it hasn't affected Dulcea. I guess she's out of a radius of whatever has gone on.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we don't know exactly what Pool del Sayer is from. And we're assuming that these people have all powered down because Anila cut them off from the lady. And now Anila is in the green and not giving them explicit instructions. So they're just like powered down.
Yeah, or who knows whatever effects have been had from having two people enter the green space itself. Like they've physically entered it. It's not just, I'm connecting with it with my fingers this time. As they make fun of in this episode. We've got all of this footage to see that the two girls had a bath. Very, very good. But it is that thing of like, it is a big deal with their sci-fi world of how that works. But what do you think of this idea of, they even nickname them the dolls? Where it's like, we can use them.
Turin has that stupid name that's fun and kind of apt, but also like, of course you've named them.
And rounded them up. And want to do experiments on them.
Well, wants to space them, but Fancy says no.
Yes, but he does want to examine them.
I love their dynamic in this episode. Turin being able to say, I'm on a moral arc and shit. And it feeling genuine and sarcastic and in character. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
God damn it. And he says like God damn like 4 times in the sentence. And he's just getting more and more exasperated. And Fancy's just being the coolest guy in the room. He like breaks no sweat. He's just like, that's right. God damn. The dolls are interesting. Like they have a whole room of them and they're all just standing there creepily. And they want to use them, but they don't know how. And they're just like, look. The rack got taken over, so how about we take over Anila's ship? Like they did a swap-a-roo.
Swapsies!
And I like being asked, so what's the Hullen like Armada fleet ship like? And he's like, oh, it's creepy as shit. It's got a bunch of weird stuff in there. Like this room that I've made full of Hullen people standing still.
It feels very Killjoys for them to basically say, we have a room of toys. Or weapons. We don't know. Those moments with Turin and Fancy are so satisfying. But something that is also gratifying, which I am surprised by how much I like, because I was having so much fun with their dynamic. So Zeph coming in and basically usurping them and this plot and being like, nope, I'm the main character now. This is about me.
I'm the last of Team Awesome Force and I know what to do.
And I'm in charge and I've got a plan, but I'm not, like, the plan might not work and we'll die horribly, but we're gonna try anyway.
Don't talk down to me. My science saved my life. I managed to survive over there doing all of this stuff. Would you have done that? Could you have done that?
What have you done?
There's these nuances to her character, because they even show some flashbacks of her at the end of last season, her relationship with Dutch. And at the beginning of this episode, she's trying to emulate Dutch. She's going, okay, I've got to put on the leather vest and the tight pants, and I've got to crawl around the air ducts being a badass, and I've got to have a plan. Because Dutch always had plans, so I've got to have a plan.
But then she comes into her own. She realizes that she can't do things the way that Dutch did, but that she can solve it being herself. And I really appreciate that that's just within this one episode, and a lot of it is unsaid. Like, Pip gives her that talk to remind her that it's within herself that she has this.
A pip talk.
A pip talk.
You, during our course of the third season, was a little bit dubious about Zeph, or at least you've enjoyed Zeph, but you've always had this element of like, but she's expendable. Like, oh, she'll probably die in this episode, or oh, maybe she'll finally leave in this episode. But here we are in the fourth season, and they've really like loaded her up as like, no, this is a character that is going to be important. Like, maybe you thought last season, oh, she's this fun, goofy addition, but this episode, they're very much laying their cards on the table and saying, no, this is a fully fledged character that we're developing and invested in.
Yeah, it's a nice surprise. We were not surprised. Well, I should say I was not surprised because you knew that this was coming. I was not surprised that she, out of the trial geek squad, was the lone survivor. But I do appreciate that they have built her up, because I was worried for a bit there that they were so full up with the characters that they already had that they weren't going to continue to grow new characters, because they have so many beautiful characters to continue to care for. And
it's a large ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a large ensemble.
And adding more to that could be like the straw that broke the camel's back, or it like not break, but it feels like it's taking away from somebody else, or it doesn't make sense. They just want somebody new. But the fact that Zeph doesn't come across that way, for me, I don't feel like I'm losing anything. I just feel like I'm gaining.
And it's different too, because when we've added new characters, like Pippin's a new character as well. He's also being given a lot in this episode. He's still in that side character area, you know. He's in that, like, he's a liaison we have, but
he is brought in.
But Pippin is that. But Zeph, she's a member of Team Awesome Force. Like, they enlisted her, and she has stayed. And so I like, too, that is the story here of, like, she is the last remaining member of Team Awesome Force here.
Yep.
And she's going to carry out what they did. Even Lucy's
she takes
gone.
up the spot of being the general. And that's not a position that I thought she would be in ever, let alone so soon, and let alone so competently. Like, the fact that she has that wobble in front of Pip.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that Dutch had her wobble in front of Davin.
And, you know, that dynamic, when we were watching it doing the reaction, we just kept saying, oh, Pippin's so cute. He's a slimy, despicable weasel, but he's so cute.
Like, he's still icky in a way.
Oh, he says so many reprehensible things.
Like, he's still got that stink on him, but it's just like, oh, you're cute.
How much of it is down to the writing and how much of it is down to the performance? We've said this about Pippin. We've said it's pretty even.
Yeah. This episode, I leaned even more on the performance because I feel like they've written for him.
Oh, yes.
In this episode in particular. So this works because
of that,
yeah.
I looked up because I was curious about some of this stuff, because I actually don't know too much about the behind the scenes of Killjoys, and even though it's a fairly new show, it is surprising how little information you can get about some of the behind the scenes. I've read some interviews and things, but he was supposed to just be a one-episode character.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he was just supposed to be in the season premiere. And then they said, wow, this act is great. And they immediately wrote for him to come back at the end of the third season. And that's how that happened. And then here he is in this fourth season. And it's clear that not only do they have an affection for this performer, but they have affection for this type of character, because it's so difficult to have the idiot character who gets themselves into trouble for the sake of plot without it feeling like that, because he is by design an idiot who gets himself into troublesome situations. That's what happens in this episode. But they round him out because of this performance, and they round him out because they give him some sort of core being. Like, his conversations with Zeph are always like illuminating of what his deal is, because yes, he's saying all of these funny things, but you can tell like there's a heart underneath of it. You know, you can tell like underneath all of the ick factor and him being
But
like
they
a
haven't
con
erased
man.
him being an They haven't erased him being an arrogant prick in order to do those things. He's both.
We have one shot at this, and I know that I'm not brave or strong, or feel free to stop me whenever.
No, I'm good.
But I have shot a gun before, and hacking secrets from tech is kind of what people pay me for, and they pay me a lot.
There's a plot, like we said, they have to go into the necropolis to get footage to find out what happened and all of that stuff. And they're like, oh, we can't get into we can get into the necropolis, but we don't know this, like the mapping of it. So we need a Scar back, but that's unlikely
They've got to
because
recruit.
they've got to recruit a Scar back. And Garrett enters the story, by the way. He's like, I'm in the episode too. And
But the
Pre's like,
fact
me
that
as well.
He goes along. He goes along with Pre because it's clearly like it's Pre's job to do this. Because Garrett, he can't be trusted, and he proves why in that scene. Because he just blurts it out, and Pre's just like, "Oh, honey,
Diplomacy. Come on. Politics.
come on, you don't just say it."
He's just a big
But
beefcake.
also, like, no, I love you, honey, but you don't.
You were a little disappointed though, because they said that they need a Scarback monk, and he comes in and says, "Have you thought about what about an ex-Scarback?" And you were like, "Oh, is this some Garrett backstory? He used to be a Scarback monk," and no, the reveal is he knows a former Scarback, and the reason
He works as a dominatrix.
that's the reason he knows her. And you were disappointed, but in the end, how do you feel?
Oh, I'm glad, but a large part of why I'm glad is because who the ex-Scarback is. One, I like that it's a woman
Yeah.
because we know that it's not just male monks.
Yeah, we didn't get too many female Scarbacks in the past, but we did get some.
Yeah. And it being the same actress that plays Monica in The Expanse.
I'm so happy to see her. Anna Hopkins, legend. She's in so many random science fiction shows. She will just pop up, and you'll be guaranteed that she plays some kind of how to describe it? Minx, I guess. You know, there's always like a sexual quality there, or some kind of freakish quality.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because, like, you know, she has a certain aura about her that she just carries, but you know, her role as Monica, like, that was something that she weaponized, and then, you know, she had other character traits. But this character, by her very nature, she's a dominatrix, former monk, and there's a lot of humor to be had of mixing the two together. You know, this is good because this is something too we've been saying. This series wants to have conversations, dialogue, themes, motifs about faith and about religion. Not just faith in the more general or broader sense, but about religion too. But they've never really hit it. And somehow in this episode, we've fallen arse over backwards into actually having a successful version of it with this character who we've only just met. Like, I thought a bunch of the things that she did and said in this episode had a lot of nuances and complexities to this.
It builds on what we know, what we've seen. Her being betrayed by the elders and leaving because of the lies that they told them.
That their religion is false, yeah.
It makes sense. And it feels right to have a character at this stage of their faith journey at this point in the show.
And although she's separated off, we see her performing a bunch of their religious ceremonies because she still wants to honor those who believe. She's not so heartless. She's not so...
I don't believe that doesn't, but that doesn't mean...
They didn't.
Yeah.
It matters to them even though they're not here. And that in itself is telling you about her. Like, she still has honor for the dead in a way that is almost in a spiritual lens. She's not the angry atheist character. She's not so cold and jaded and rude like we saw with some of the characters earlier in the show when it came to the Scarback monks. She should be that times 10. She used to be one and she knows that they're false. But they give this character a lot more reverence than that. They don't box her into one thing. And again, this is the first episode we've seen her in. And they could have leaned...
I really want her to stick around for a bit.
Think about this. They could have really leaned into just the gag of they team up with a dominatrix who used to be a nun, basically.
Yeah.
And somehow that's not what I take away from this character or this episode thing of her. Like, yes, you get the fun of, like, she's going to give
Not the face.
Yeah, a kinky situation with Garrett and Pri. Like, that's cutesy and hilarious, but we have more with her. You know, she's a badass too. She shoots a robot spider, which you were very thrilled by. Can you tell us about the robot spiders and why you're a big fan? I never thought that you'd be such a big fan of the robot spiders. When they came in last season, you had a big smile on your face, but when they came back this season, you cheered. You're like, yes, they're here.
Because I was worried that they just did that for finale effect. And they was just going to disappear back into the goo and not matter. And then they do, and they're an important threat in this episode. And it's interesting because it's not something that we're super familiar with. So when Pip gets attacked by one, we don't know what that means.
Pip's alone in a room with one of the dolls, and they start to move and they unhinge their jaw and the spider comes out of their mouth on a top of a Pippin that's screaming, and we cut away. And we cut back later, and Pippin's just walking around being all Pippin, but he does have a big scratch on his face, and he's like, I don't remember what that's from.
Yeah. And it's like, is he just infected alien style? Because...
How much does he know?
Oh, yeah. I don't think he knows anything. But it's like, what did they do to him? Because it's like, well, I don't feel like they have the ability to turn him fully Helen. So is it more like an alien where it's like there's something growing inside of him that is Helen? Is it more the worm from Star Trek?
Trills?
No. I was thinking more like the one that Khan uses.
Oh, yeah. Like a mind control-y, like they force you to do things.
Yeah.
Either way, both plots have one of the members is compromised. In one story, they know it, and in the other, they don't really know, but they know something's up. Like, we have something where it's like, clearly something's happening with Pippin, but we don't know, and they don't know.
Zeph potentially sort of mitigating things because of her relationship with Pippin will help sort of negate some of those things as well.
And he's obfuscating so well because he comes in with super detailed and handy information that helps propel the plot forward. And this episode is very different for a Killjoys episode in the sense of the ending of the episode is very, how to describe it? It's very to be continued vibes.
Yeah, it feels like it's the end of a first part.
And how is that different from other episodes? Because this is a series with ongoing threads and storylines and things, but there's something about the way that it's done here that feels very much
Well-
like an abrupt cutoff.
Because it, more than other episodes, feels like it should pick up straight from where we left off. And if we don't, it's going to be really annoying. So that's one aspect. Another is the type of ending we have of, that sinister but comedic scene and them driving off to a song.
As well as with the Zeph plot, it is them saying, we need to find Lucy, where's Lucy? And we cut to Lucy on some random dark
It's
planet.
so clear that, okay, the next episode should deal with A, B, C. Whereas previous episodes, most of the episodes of Killjoys have will they pick up this thread? Will they move this here? Are they just going to go straight to this thing, or are they going to try this angle? It feels much more like, well, A, B, and C are going to be the next thing that happens, right?
They're not resolved, is the thing. I find that most
there's not
episodes...
a conclusion to what is in this episode as much, because it's just like, well, yeah, they deal with the organ harvesting, but not really. Like, that's still happening with Dulcea. It is still a potential threat.
Yeah, nothing is fully locked in. This is, and I don't say this in a derogatory way like I would usually, but this is the most, we're in the streaming age of television, prestige type story, in which it's a lot of setup. It's a lot of setting up the pieces. It's a lot of what you usually hate, of we are not resolving things within this one episode because we're setting all of these pieces up for the next episode or the season overall. But we are given a bounty of character things that it kind of blurs that line. But when we get to the end, it does hammer in like, oh no, we have been just building. And you may say, what about the first episode, the premiere? We end on a cliffhanger there of Dutch getting infected and all this stuff. But the difference is, that is the tag at the end, while the whole episode, it itself was a story being told with a beginning, middle, and end, while still teasing out the future. Like, Killjoys usually has this balance of having a pretty self-contained episode whilst also still being a part of an ongoing narrative. And this episode is the one where it leaned one way more than the other. And I don't know if that's a bad thing.
No, it does feel like it could be a progression of the show. So much of last season, and even the one before, is we can't do Warren of the Week anymore.
Yeah.
So them saying goodbye to even that amount of episodicness that it had could also make sense.
They took a bath. Who takes a goddamn bath in the middle of a goddamn war? Goddamn.
It wasn't exactly a bubble bath.
On our rating system of Yum being bad and Yum Yum being good, where does Johnny Dangerously fall?
It ends up being a yum yum.
Yum yum.
It's not an unconditional or a unquestioning yum yum, but it's a solid episode. It's more good than it is bad.
I agree. It's a yum yum.
Yum yum.
And here's another reason. Its faults make it more interesting rather than lesser than. Because the worst episodes of the show are when the bad elements that we're talking about are detracting rather than adding. Because there is such a thing. We've talked about this many times. Sometimes great episodes can have like real weird stuff in there that doesn't work, but the way it doesn't work makes it all the more. And I think this is an episode with that in it as well, of just like, this doesn't quite work, but also I kind of like it still, even though it doesn't really line up, but I still like it. So that is that. Now, Rachel, the next episode of the show is a doozy of a title.
Oh,
it's a fun title.
Very wordy one?
No, it's a very weird one though. So I will say it. You take it in, and then I can give you some more. So, episode 3 of season 4 of Killjoys is called, and it makes sense for where we're at as well. It's called Broad Trip. Bro -D trip. Broad Trip. Playing on road trip.
But brothers.
Yeah, bro. Because where we're left off with is they're on a road trip together.
Yeah. Johnny declares it.
So what do you think will be happening next time on Killjoys?
Their road trip. That's going to be followed up on. I don't think we're going to get much in the green.
Do you think we'll get any Hannah John-Kamen?
Yeah. I think that sort of the hallucination or potentially real Dutch that Johnny saw will be back.
I imagine flashbacks perhaps as well.
Yes.
Do you think there's an episode that they could have where she isn't in it at all?
I think they could, but I don't
think they will.
Don't think, because we've got 2 of her as well.
We have plenty of her, so there's no excuse not to have Hannah show up in episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Davin, Lick McFarlane, he can sit out.
But they've only had one where he wasn't there.
Yeah, it is true. But they've set a precedent now that he is the one that can sit out. Because last season, you could have had Johnny sit out, but they didn't.
No.
But anything else in terms of your predictions and or thoughts on the next episode? Obviously, Johnny and Davin potentially doing their thing.
Zeph is going to be on the journey to find Lucy. I think that will be the other focus.
Do you think she will intersect with the Davin and Johnny plot?
Or maybe in the next episode. I'm not sure.
The one after. And what about Dulcea? What do you think is going to happen with Dulcea?
As is tradition, she'll go into labor. That's my prediction until it actually happens.
Do you think she will go into labor in this episode or give birth?
I don't know. Maybe both.
Wouldn't it be great if her waters break? Do you think it'll be like normal, or do you think it'll be goo, like green plasma plops out?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be green.
Oh, we didn't talk about it, but in this episode, she takes a drink, and Davin's giving her the scolding. Really? And she's just like, "I have a magical baby.
Yeah,
healing properties doesn't matter." Still irresponsible, Dulcea. No more of that. But that is it. Rachel, how about you tell everyone where they can find our podcast and what else they can do in regards to helping us out?
They can find us on the various social medias under yumyumpod or yumyumpodcast. Email address is yumyumpod@gmail.com. And we've mentioned it, but we'll mention it again. Our lovely Patreon, where you get early and full access, as well as a huge back catalogue and exclusive Discord access.
Rate, review, share the podcast around. If you know somebody and you think, I think they would like Killjoys, recommend Killjoys the show to them. And then shout out, hey, if you want a podcasting companion, check out Yum Yum Podcast. We're one of the few podcast that's covered Killjoys, and we're making our way through. If you are perhaps wanting to rewatch the show, do it and join us in this rewatch experience or the first time watch experience like Rachel. But until next time, this is something I just think that needs to be raised about this episode as the final note, okay?
Yeah.
Final note on this.
Hit me with it.
If Aaron Ashmore played more villains, what's like an iconic villain you would love to see him play? Because I don't think I've ever seen him play a bad guy. I've never seen it outside of this. I mean, I must admit I haven't seen a ton of Aaron Ashmore, so I've seen him play Jimmy Olsen. Maybe he played like an evil version of Jimmy. I can't recall.
Maybe.
But what's a character? Could he play Moriarty? Give him a funny accent.
Why does he have to have an accent?
Oh, to be British.
Oh, yeah. Most of
Or do you want him to stay Canadian?
I kind of would love that. I kind of would love that. Who would he be good as? You know, I'm weirdly thinking about like cartoon villains that he would be good for a voice of.
Oh, yeah. I think he'd be a great villain in like The Tick or something.
Yeah.
Here's my pitch.
Mm.
Hannah John-Kamen, she's a great actress. And most importantly, she's British. And there's a certain, and she's been in a lot of the traditional stuff that, upcoming British actors go to. She was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
She started off doing Misfits. That was her first thing, was Misfits, right?
Ah.
Yeah.
I forgot that was her first.
I do believe her first thing. However, she's never been in one of the big iconic British things that everyone is in, which is Doctor Who.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be great? Because we're in a state of flux with Doctor Who at the moment. If she took over the role of the Doctor.
Yes.
Okay? And you have Aaron Ashmore.
As the Master?
As the Master. Realistically, he should be the companion, and Sean Ashmore should be the Master.
But they swap places.
Yeah. There's some shenanigans where the Master's just like, I chose this face. And it's, that's how they explain why they look the same.